The chapter kicks off with Cassie reflecting on the time Nate got a pedicure a few weeks back. Right after that, the scene shifts to reveal a completely different side of her. Now, she's sporting a flawless, Barbie-like look, using her newfound style to give her business a serious boost. Her venture was already booming because after appearing at the party with Brandon, her following shot up to 17,000 followers. She was finally on the right track to going viral and drastically changing her life for the better. But for Maddy, that still wasn't enough. The work schedule started sharp at 8 a.m. and stretched for 12 long hours. Every single second Cassie spent in front of the camera meant more money lining their pockets, and Maddy had zero intention of slowing things down. Cassie even branched out into the world of ASMR, recording her voice in soft, soothing tones to help her followers fall asleep. Her fans were eager to connect with her, sending in constant custom requests that kept the duo incredibly busy. Just a simple shout-out mentioning a follower's name would go for as much as $700, and the requests just kept rolling in. Cassie had become a total money-making machine, and Maddy was fully committed to squeezing every bit of profit out of her percentage of the earnings. A week later, Cassie's social media following had hit the 50,000 mark. That's when Maddy decided to pivot her strategy, getting Cassie onto various podcasts to stand up for men and take a strong stance against online hate. Her message was clear: a man who grinds for 16 hours a day and still makes time for his family is a hero and shouldn't be harassed for his personal beliefs. The podcast appearances worked like a charm. With listeners' opinions completely split, the follower count just kept climbing. But despite all the fame and success, Cassie was still missing Nate. The following morning, Maddy made a shocking discovery. Cassie had wired him $35,000, which was pretty much everything she had earned up to that point. Luckily for Maddy, she takes her cut the second the money hits the bank account, so she's not sweating how Cassie chooses to blow her own cash. However, she told her straight up that she needs to file for divorce as soon as possible. According to the stats Maddy pulled from the last quarter, Cassie is on the verge of becoming incredibly wealthy, and if she stays married, Nate will legally have access to half of everything she makes moving forward. Cassie's inbox turned into total chaos. She had become an overnight sensation, and her brand was blowing up more and more every single day. It got to the point where her apartment started feeling way too small, and there just weren't enough hours in the day to keep up with all the requests. Cassie began to feel like a titan in her own city, someone who had arrived to take over everything and finally claim the fame and fortune that every magazine had promised her back in her teens. Her fan base spanned the whole spectrum, from blue-collar workers to high-powered moguls in skyscraper offices downtown. Everything Cassie had been waiting for had finally arrived. The world was hers, and she was finally free to push the boundaries of what this business could offer. Meanwhile, Alamo is absolutely livid. His right-hand man decided to quit after getting injured during the club heist, throwing 15 years of partnership down the drain because he's too terrified of it happening again. Because of that, Alamo has lost all respect for him. He feels the safe should have never been opened. Now, Lori has the upper hand, and they need to get back what's theirs before it's gone for good. For Bishop, the fear of death has no place in this business, and they need a real strategy to strike back hard. The first thing Bishop asks Rue is if he can sketch a detailed map of Lori's farm. They know they need to get the lay of the land if they're going to plan any kind of offensive. Meanwhile, Alamo is in a terrible mood. He's completely on edge, and even the smallest thing sets him off, including the fact that someone bought him the wrong size pants. Alamo loses his cool and roughs up the kid who brought them, shoving him against the bar and scaring the living daylights out of him. The kid is so terrified that he ends up making a mess all over the rug. On the other hand, Cassie meets up with Brandon, the guy who originally helped her blow up. He drops a bombshell, revealing that Maddy isn't actually a high-profile talent manager. She's just an assistant. This means she lied to Cassie just to snag a bigger cut of her earnings. Right as that's going down, the scene cuts to Maddy, who's stuck cleaning up dog mess in her boss's office. She's absolutely miserable, fuming with resentment and wishing her boss would just choke on it while she deals with the disgusting task at hand. Brandon tells Cassie that if she wants to start making the real big bucks, she needs to join his team and move into their content house. They've got professional videographers, high-end sponsors, and everything else needed to take over social media. He insists it's time for her to leave the small pond where she's stuck with Maddy and finally jump into the deep end. But moving in with Brandon comes with certain professional obligations and public appearances, the kind of thing she assumed Nate would never be okay with. As it turns out, thanks to the steady stream of cash she's been sending responding his way, Nate has completely flipped his script on the business and is now cheering her on. He's perfectly fine with Cassie doing whatever it takes to put food on the table. As long as the bank transfers keep hitting his account, he couldn't care less about anything else. Meanwhile, Rue is absolutely terrified because Alamo asked to speak with her privately. After his massive blow-up earlier that afternoon, she doesn't want to get on his bad side. However, what really makes her skin crawl is seeing Bishop show up wearing a plastic hat and carrying a set of heavy-duty tools. The first thing Bishop tells her is that throughout his life, he's met certain people who just seem to carry a cloud of bad luck over their heads. If they're farmers, their crops wither away, and if they try to sail, they end up drowning. In Rue's case, he points out that ever since she showed up, it's been nothing but one problem after another. Just when the moment couldn't get any more intense, Bishop reveals that Alamo is waiting for her at the bar, and she'd better move fast. He's not exactly in a patient mood today. Rue quickly heads out, leaving him to whatever he was about to do. When she gets to the bar, she finds Alamo playing the trumpet and sipping on some fine whiskey. He tells Rue that he just got off the phone with Lori, who wants to set up a meeting to talk things out. However, Alamo isn't nearly foolish enough to fall for that story. Ever since his pet died under very mysterious circumstances, he's known that there's absolutely no way to negotiate with her in good faith. That's exactly why he tells Rue that he needs her on his side to handle the situation. She knows the house inside and out and can tell him exactly where everything is hidden. Rue reveals that the cash and the supplies are kept in the basement. However, Alamo drops a bombshell she didn't see coming. He couldn't care less about the money, since his clubs pull in that kind of cash in a single night. What really matters is that there was something far more valuable in that safe, and he's ready to burn the whole valley to the ground to get it back if he has to. An hour later, Bishop is out feeding the pigs when he spots Rue speeding off in her car. She drives to a bridge in the city where DEA agents are waiting to talk to her. Rue tips them off about the upcoming meeting between Lori and Alamo, warning them that it's bound to end badly. But the agents want her to be there in person, wearing a wire. They need solid, clear-cut evidence to finally make an arrest. Meanwhile, over in Lori's basement, Faye and her boyfriend are watching a movie when they get a call from Rue. She tries to explain that she had nothing to do with what happened to Paladin, but they tell her that if she's looking to come back, she's out of luck. Someone else has already filled the vacancy. That means Lori is sending someone else down to Mexico, which turns out to be incredibly useful info for the agents. Now they just have to keep a close eye on her and wait for that person to leave the house. Once they head back with the goods, the feds will have everything they need to bust the whole crew. The next morning, Cassie calls Maddy's office and confirms the truth. She's just an assistant. With that settled, she signs the contract to join Brandon's reality show. She'll be moving into a luxury mansion with all the resources to hit levels of fame that Maddy could never reach, leaving her friend in the dust once again. Later that day, Maddy finally lets Cassie see where she really lives, the miserable basement where she's been stuck for years, hoping she'd eventually escape with her friend's help. But now Cassie is telling her that she has to move on, claiming it's not personal and just a business move. The second Cassie makes it clear she's planning to bail on her, Maddy doesn't hesitate. She grabs her phone and moves to cancel the big interview on LA Nights that she had managed to land for her through Lexi. This is a massive opportunity for her, and she immediately regrets what she said. But before things can spiral again, Maddy reveals she's already drafted a formal contract and insists they go over it together. From here on out, their friendship means nothing. They are going to play by business rules and nothing else. Cassie signs the contract without a second thought, not realizing that Maddy now has her in a legal stranglehold, making it impossible for her to pull another betrayal. The only real problem is that Maddy had been bluffing. She hadn't actually landed an interview yet. So the next morning, she heads over to the studios to talk to Lexi and try to make it happen. But Lexi is already in deep trouble over a previous mishap with some paint. He feels like he's walking on thin ice and isn't about to risk another blunder that could wreck his career. Still, when it comes to Maddy, she's always known exactly how to get under his skin. Against all odds, just 2 days later, Cassie found herself right where she wanted to be, auditioning for the show. Trying to defy the stereotypes her looks usually invite, Cassie delivers a monologue from Cleopatra, a serious and truly challenging piece for someone her age. When Lexi returns with lunch for the entire crew, she's stunned to find everyone glued to the set monitors, watching Cassie's audition. The kicker is that Cassie used her last name for the casting, and the female executives were absolutely blown away by her Shakespearean performance. In their eyes, the trope of a girl who looks like a ditzy blonde but aims for the stars is pure pure ratings gold. Lexi can't help but feel a pang of resentment, realizing Cassie achieved in a single afternoon what she's spent years fighting for. Across town, Jules, who's still hurting over blowing her big shot with that terrible painting mishap, is grabbing lunch with Rue. Rue is coming off a brutal night, struggling to balance her double life between Alamo and the DEA agents. Jules asks her how many girlfriends she's had since high school, and Rue has no intention of telling the truth. The fact is, she hasn't had any. Instead, she makes up a story about a girl named Angel, claiming they had a whirlwind romance that only ended when she was forced to take her to rehab. Jules is genuinely surprised to hear that she had such a significant relationship in the past. Because of this, she asks her point-blank why she keeps coming around so often if she doesn't actually plan on revisiting their history. Rue admits that she really does want to, but claims that things are just complicated. Right then, Jules dares her to go for it. She tells her that if she truly wants it, she should just take it, insisting it's not that hard to get back to the way they were in high school. That night, Rue's partner finds her underwear on the floor and confronts her about it. He gives her a stern reminder that he has a family to think about, and the last thing he's going to do is go back to his wife carrying some kind of illness. He makes it crystal clear that if she wants to keep enjoying the lifestyle she's currently living, she is not allowed to have anyone else over to her apartment ever again. As for Nate, he's turned into a total shut-in. He spends his entire day sleeping, eating, and drinking heavily, burning through all the cash his wife sends him to fund his new life of leisure, without spending a single second thinking about paying off his debts. Until one morning, a guy shows up at his place with a golf club and shatters the window with a single swing. When Nate turns around, he realizes it's the same guy from last time. He's back to remind him what happens when you blow off your interest payments and starts beating him right there on the rug. That afternoon, Nate loses exactly what he lost before, as the guy didn't even let the stitches heal before striking again. This time, however, he took something even more personal: Nate's wedding ring. The scene is incredibly intense, but it's necessary for Nate to finally get that he's totally trapped. Right then, the scene shifts to the club, where Magic returns after the incident, only to find something in her locker that definitely doesn't belong there. She goes straight to Alamo and tells him that Rue is trying to frame her. She warns him that Rue can't be trusted and is clearly hiding something, pointing to the night of the heist as proof. Magic explains that when the intruders broke in, Rue claimed she couldn't recognize their voices, which is weird considering she lived with them for so long, yet she had no trouble spotting Faye in the driver's seat. It's all very suspicious, and Alamo decides he's going to get to the bottom of whatever is really going on. While Magic is busy trying to convince Alamo that Rue can't be trusted, Rue is actually having dinner with Maddy, catching her up on everything that went down with Jules. She shares her hope that they might eventually be able to reignite their old romance. Meanwhile, Maddy tells her about the fallout with Cassie. She explains how Cassie tried to double-cross her, but Maddy stayed one step ahead. Now, she officially owns 50% of everything Cassie earns throughout her career. At this point, Maddy couldn't care less if they end up as friends or enemies. As far as she's concerned, it's just a very lucrative business arrangement. Rue tries to point out that the two of them are polar opposites, but Maddy is totally unfazed by it all. The money is rolling in, the follower count is climbing, and that's all that matters to her. As for Cassie's emotional outbursts, Maddy knows exactly how to handle them. She's been doing it since they were in high school. Maddy then asks if she's still keeping up with reading the Bible. Rue admits she is, but confesses she hasn't quite reached the part about forgiveness and peace yet, so she's going to need a little more time. Right at that moment, Rue looks up and realizes with a jolt that Bishop is outside, lurking in the shadows and spying on her. 2 seconds later, Alamo walks into the restaurant sporting his heavy leather suit and boots that look like they could crush a pig. He strolls over to their table casually and greets them, taking a moment to admire Maddy's nails. For now, Maddy doesn't suspect a thing, but the vibe shifts instantly when Alamo decides to sit down with them. Rue tries her best to play it cool and hide the fact that her dealings with Alamo are incredibly shady, mostly because she'd promised Maddy and her friends that she was done with that world for good. Even though Maddy handles the situation with total poise, the sheer terror is written all over Rue's face. Maddy even jokes that she wishes her own boss cared as much about her as Alamo seems to care about Rue. To an outsider, the scene might almost look sweet, but Rue's heart is pounding so hard, it feels like it could jump right out of her chest. After a minute of this incredibly tense conversation, Bishop calls Alamo and tells him to send Rue outside right away. They need to have a word with her. Meanwhile, Alamo stays behind at the table to keep Maddy company for a while. The second she steps outside, Rue comes face to face with the van the guys use whenever they need to get rid of evidence or feed the pigs. Without a word of explanation, they tell Rue to get in immediately. Back at the diner, Alamo and Maddy actually seem to be hitting it off. He sees that she's got guts and some sharp ideas for making money. As it turns out, Alamo knows plenty of beautiful women who could step in and help her scale her business to the next level. Meanwhile, Rue is sitting in the back seat when Bishop demands she hand over her phone. The air is thick with tension, and she's positive they've found out something they were never supposed to know. Back at the table, Maddy tells Alamo she's projected to clear $1 million in just 6 months, so he asks to see the star who's going to rake in that kind of cash. After taking one look at Cassie, Alamo admits he can find at least 3 girls better looking than her, and they immediately get down to business, hammering out the split on their percentages. Maddy doesn't flinch for a second in Alamo's presence. Instead, she offers to drive him in her own car so he can introduce her to his associates and they can start their business together. Meanwhile, Lexi pays her sister a visit, wanting to know exactly why she used her maiden name to score points at the audition and why someone like her would ever choose Cleopatra for something like that. But Cassie is beaming with pride over what she pulled off. She's already heard back from the crew and is beyond hyped that they'll soon be colleagues, an idea that totally turns Lexi's stomach. Lexi honestly can't think of anything worse than having her sister, someone she's never even gotten along with, invading her workplace and soaking up all the praise. Despite her feelings, Lexi has to follow orders and officially breaks the news to Cassie that she got the part. Even though she thinks Cassie is the most narcissistic and selfish person she's ever met, she has to admit she finally made it happen. The next few minutes are a whirlwind of pure excitement for Cassie, who can't believe her dreams are finally coming true. Meanwhile, Bishop takes Rue to a desolate vacant lot where a single shovel is already waiting for them in the middle of nowhere. Without giving her any explanation, they order her to start digging immediately, standing over her and watching her every move. At the same time, Alamo and Maddy are driving toward the club. He's ready to show her what he's got so she can scout the kind of talent that will help scale her social media business. Once they arrive, Alamo orders all the girls to line up, leaving Maddy in charge of turning them into stars. Every girl standing there is tough, ambitious, and ready to rake in serious cash. They don't mess around. Out of everyone, Maddy picks Magic and Kiri, the absolute cream of the crop. She sees that they have the personality, looks, and drive to deliver massive results on social media. Back with Rue, she has finally finished digging until the hole is up to her neck. Right then, Bishop grabs the shovel from her hands, and they start shoveling dirt directly onto her face until there is nothing left to see. The next morning, Alamo gets up at the crack of dawn and takes his horse out for a ride. As he trots along, he talks to the animal about the weight of trust and how some people deserve absolutely nothing once they've betrayed it. While he's delivering this grim speech, the scene cuts to Rue, who is still buried up to her neck in the dirt. The guys took their joke way too far, and she's left there whispering to herself that she has no clue what she did to deserve something this extreme. In the distance, Rue spots Alamo charging toward her on horseback, gripping a polo mallet in his hands. He's picking up serious speed and swinging the mallet with terrifying force. However, just as he's about to reach her, the screen cuts to black and the chapter ends right there. Leaving the outcome a total mystery, everyone is left wondering, is this really the end for Rue? Make sure to follow us and turn on notifications to find out the truth in 7 days. Catch you next time.